Earlier this year, a friend mentioned that he was planning a trip to Hong Kong. And since we hadn't seen each other in a while, it seemed like the perfect opportunity to reunite and explore Hong Kong together. I arrived a few days earlier with the intention to photograph some of the iconic neon lights that you can find in Hong Kong that I had seen in one of Big Head Taco's videos. Naturally, I wanted to shoot on film, especially on this guy here, Kodak Vision 3 500T. And a little bit of context, by the time I was living in Bangkok, and in Bangkok you can get one of these rolls here, including developing in ECN2 and scanning for around $10 US, which is fairly affordable, especially if you compare to other offerings by Fuji or Kodak. On the first day we had a little meetup, which was fantastic. One of our first activities was visiting a rooftop to catch a nice view. Although we couldn't see the neon lights from up there, it was still worth the visit. While waiting for Blue Hour, I played around with my Q3 with my little flash. Later I managed to get a lucky shot on my M6 of this little kid looking outside of the window in this brightly lit room. Despite the fact that my shutter speed was very low, luckily the kid wasn't moving. As evening approached, it was finally time to seek out some of the cool neon lights. The scans that I got back from the lab weren't the best, so the film photos in this video were scanned by myself using a mirrorless camera and Negative Lab Pro. At night, the city was buzzing with activity, including people singing in public and live streaming it, which seems to be a thing in Hong Kong. One particularly funny and bizarre moment occurred when a woman streamed live, had a viewer propose to me. That was pretty weird. Already on the first day I could tell that Hong Kong is full of characters. For instance, these two lovely, very friendly gentlemen here. If you want to visit some of the neon lights you can see in this video yourself, I'll put a link in the video description to a blog post that you could use as sort of a guide. This spot here in Mong Kok is probably one of the most iconic ones. Even though the main focus wasn't street photography, I still wanted to capture a few frames on my M6 using flash. And in case you're curious about the settings I was using for the neon lights, I shot at 1/60th, sometimes 1/30th, and when it got really dark, I was going down to 1/4 of a second, shooting wide open, of course. For this, I used this Summicron here and also this TD Artisan 50mm f1.4, which is pretty sharp at f1.4, so it's totally usable, wide open. So that's what I was doing. And for the shots where I used the flash, I set the camera to 1/30th f5.6, of course, zone focusing. And the film wasn't pushed or anything in developing. And yeah, that's about it. And of course, I wasn't metering, in case you're wondering, because some people always ask, how did you meter? But I wasn't metering at all. I was just guessing the exposure, and I was using basically the slowest shutter speed I could get away with. So basically, that's my rule of thumb when shooting film at night, because you need as much light as possible to hit the film. So there's no point of really metering, and the meter will be thrown off by all these lights around, I guess, anyway. So yeah, that's about the settings I was using that night. I would have loved to film more street photography videos while I was in Hong Kong, but the weather wasn't very cooperative. It was fairly cold, and unfortunately it rained a lot. So back to the mesmerizing neon lights of Hong Kong. What is about to follow has to be my favorite neon light spot in Hong Kong that I've visited. Neon lights are an integral part of Hong Kong's identity. Unfortunately, these iconic symbols of the city are slowly disappearing. However, I can only imagine how incredible the city must have looked 20 or 30 years ago.